shorty who's the sickest, but I'm putting on a clinic. Listen, I get it. Maybe I'm not bad, don't get it twisted. It's just my opinion.
What's going on? You're watching The Come Up Show. My name is Martin Bauman, and I'm joined by two of Canada's finest, Classified and Shad. We're going to have a little fun today. Thought I'd start off with a little bit of trivia. I want to know, first off, how you two first encountered each other's music. Very first time.
I was actually talking to this with the crew the other day. The first time I ever heard Shad, I think, was at the Embassy.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
We were doing a show. I remember we were up in the back room, and I came down because I always like to check out who's playing before. I never heard of Shad before. This was probably what?
This was like
2006, 7 maybe,
yeah.
5, somewhere around there. And I remember he was playing the guitar and rapping. And I was like, who is this guy? And just that alone was just different. Like, I like things that are different, caught me off guard. And then just getting to learn who he is and actually getting into his music and know what it's about. It's like, it's a good reason why he's kind of came from what he started at and where he's at now.
At what point did you kind of become aware of Classified as a musician and what he was doing?
Yeah, definitely. Jeez, when was I can't remember exactly the time.
What?
That show was 2006. I remember that was a big deal for me getting to open up that show. I was like, the Embassy now is gone. For you historians of London hip hop.
It's a grass field. We actually just drove by it on the way here.
It's a grass field now.
Yeah.
This was like Dundas East. This was like a classic venue, hip hop and all sorts of things. You probably grinded out like your first.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 times. We had like some of our best shows ever, like in Canada, not just London, but grimy little club. You know what I mean? Super grimy. Half the time the mics didn't work right.
Yeah.
But, like, the people came out so hard, just supported and just got rowdy. Always a good time.
That was a classic spot. So that show is a big deal for me. But I mean, obviously, I was aware of his music before that. So what album was 2006 for you? That was, I think at that time you put out like a retrospective thing. Oh no, maybe it was Hitchhiking Music.
Yeah, it was probably Hitchhiking
Music. And then after that was the kind of retrospective.
Yeah, the While You're Sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like Hitchhiking Music. I think it must have been though around 03 was probably the first time I heard your stuff. Whenever it started to get some rotation on Much.
Favorite song in each other's catalogs?
Favorite song in each other's catalogs?
I'd say my one is, and maybe I'm even getting the title wrong. Brother, is it Brother?
Yeah, Brother, yeah.
Yeah, that was the joint, like, for me. And that was when I was still, you know what I mean, checking out Much music and seeing that video, the beat, what he was saying in it. Like, that was the one that, it's just like some classic hip-hop beat, but with a good message, talking about some real stuff. Yeah, I like that one.
My favorite Class joint, I always tell him the beat I'm most jealous of is the one on your last record with Raekwon on
I was
there.
going to say that. We talked about that last time.
Yeah.
What was that? I only say it because it's true?
Yeah. That's the one that, like, you can see by my expression, like, I'm upset about it. That it's not my song. So that's the first one that kind of comes to mind.
Gonna dig back in the vaults a little bit, see if you can remember the first bars you ever remember writing.
Rat-a-tat-tat with my gat, swing, swing, swing with my baseball bat. My homie Duff Boy got a 9. What you think of that? I had no guns. I just rapped like that for some reason. Me and my friends, and then we kind of got more into the culture and hip hop. And like I remember a DJ, Joe Run, who's like legendary. He heard me rap and he's like, "Why do you do that?" And I was like, "No, but you know, it's hip hop." Young dumb kid thinking that's what you're supposed to do, and he's kind of the one that straightened me out and made me start writing real music to me, what my real life's about.
Oh,
Chad, do you remember what would have been the first?
I think I've like suppressed that memory. You know what I mean? Like just trying to like never remember it again. I remember being like really liking it that day, and then the next day being like horrified by it, like just being like, wow, this is like horrendous. And I think I've like suppressed it, that memory.
A week ago, Daniel was in town before you guys came here. Who would have been the biggest Canadian influence for you in hip hop as you were coming up?
Maestro for me.
Yeah. Maestro would have to be the biggest. Danny O, I was like a huge fan of Danny.
Yeah, the whole Beat Factory thing back in the day. Like I had that tape or CD, whatever it was, and Dear Hip Hop was on that, Rascals was on that, Mathematic, a lot of classic Toronto groups that you know, that's kind of what I came up on. But Maestro was my first introduction to, okay, this is Canadian hip hop.
Yeah, yeah. But Danio, I thought, was incredible, and like Monolith, there's that whole era, that crew. Yeah, Danio, he's still incredible. Yeah, but yeah, Maestro would have to be the biggest.
Tell me if you can remember, this is another piece of hip-hop trivia, I suppose, your first ever live show. As a legit established performer, your first live show.
Mine would be like the day I got my first like CD back, like from the printer, mailed to my house. I opened for Josh Martinez at the Embassy.
Nice.
Do you recall?
I remember a show, this was 1995, May 12th. And it was like this is when I'm from a small town, like half hour outside of Halifax. So I came into the city and played with like 12 hip hop groups, and these dudes were like the hip hop dudes in Halifax. I was like outer Tanner kid, didn't really know anybody, and that was like the first time. I was with like Buck 65, 6'2", Corey from Trailer Park Boys, Hip Club Groove, all those guys. That was, you know, my first introduction to like playing a real hip hop show, I think.
On a performance tip, most embarrassing moment you can recall in one of your performances, what would it be?
Probably opening for Kanon in Vancouver, this beautiful outdoor venue. It was raining because it's Vancouver, and jumped up, slipped on my monitor, fell, loud, like boom, you know, mic on the ground. But fortunately, like with rapping on stage, a lot of it becomes like muscle memory. So like I'm just going, like fully like sprained my ankle, but I'm just like. Got up, grabbed the mic. I knew exactly I was just going.
Class, what about you?
Very similar thing, falling on stage. It was actually my brother. I remember we played at the Attic, and he pushed me, like, you know, trying to hype me up. Yeah. Pushed me, fell on the monitor, fell like right down. Like, what do you do from there? It's like, there's no coming back from that. So you just go, okay. And I think you freestyle about it 20 minutes later in the set. You put it in the bar, and everyone goes, ah, and it becomes cool. But that was the one moment where I remember just falling. I was like, this sucks. This sucks. Like, it was a hole on stage. It looked awkward. I remember Mike, after the show, he's like, man, I didn't know what to do. I thought you know, it was a bad moment.
You probably get, like, moments like that, you have a good 3 years, I'd say, of gig mares.
yeah, just don't want to fall again.
Just don't want to fall.
Music has allowed both of you guys to not only see the world, but also meet a lot of interesting people. Who has been the most significant person that music has allowed you to meet?
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
Yeah,
nobody like comes like
who makes me the most excited? Like, I met that person.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's the person, but I remember when I went to New York 2 years ago, me and White Mike, and we went to Mobb Deep's manager's house. And we went down in the studio. I was with Kino, who's manages Royce 5'9". He took us over there, and MOP was in the studio working on a song. Showbiz was there, just hanging out, shooting the shit. I remember Gravy. Remember the Biggie movie, Gravy?
Yeah,
the guy who played Biggie?
Yeah.
He was just sitting there sleeping, and the Notorious movie came out the next day, and he was just hanging out. And it was just cool because it was in New York. You know what I mean? Budden was there, just kind of just see these guys that I grew up listening to music and. You know what I mean? Just sitting in the back of the studio and watch them just kind of grinding out, just grown men making music just for the love of it, basically. So it's cool.
Can you think of somebody by now?
I don't know if I can think of any one encounter in particular, but like just moments like that where you're like, oh wow, like this is my company right now, and it feels strangely normal. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's those kind of moments.
All right, hip hop trivia.
Yeah.
If you could only listen to one voice in hip hop for the rest of your life, whose voice would that be?
Probably Black Thought.
And why would that be your choice?
Just because in case I ever forget what rap is, it's just like, oh yeah, that guy, like that's rap. Yeah.
Who's it for you?
I don't know. That's one person. I'd say someone like Redman maybe, but I don't know. I hate everything now. No, but I don't know. I'm still like a guy that listens to a lot of 90s. I listen to some newer stuff, but if I had to pick just one MC, I'd probably take Snoop. Even though he's not like the most lyrical guy, he's just relaxing. I loved his first album, and he's smooth. Snoop.
Another difficult question, also a little bit of hip hop history. If you had to listen to albums that were only from 1 year from the rest of your life, which calendar year would that be? Just one particular year.
Oh, 93 or 94.
And so, tell me about why that would be for you.
Just the albums that came out, like Illmatic, Method Man's first one was like 95. Doggy Style, even Warren G, man. I love Warren G's first album. One of the worst MCs in the game, but love that album. That's just kind of, even for me, whether or not it was like the best year of music, it was just like for me in my life of how I was growing up, where I was at in my life, it was just everything was music. So every album that came out, I'd go to the store, I'd get it, and I'd play the shit out of it for months. And it was, that's just, I was in love with the music and just the whole culture right then. So a lot of good albums at that time. Fireside's album. What else? I don't know, I can't think of anything else now.
Yeah.
Cypress Hill,
Yeah.
like that whole thing, just that whole era of the Soul Assassins, the G-Funk, the East Coast, the Biggies, the everything like that.
Yep.
94, what I would expect.
Yeah.
And you would say 2000.
I was saying like 94, but like 98 would give it a run.
98.
Like Aquemini is maybe my favorite album, and then the Lauryn Hill album. So I don't know what else came out that year, but that would give it a run. That would give 94 a run, but 94 is 94.
Another tough question.
Yeah.
Best MC producer duo in hip hop in your own personal opinion.
Like two different people, or one
Like you got one producer, like a Gangstar, but I don't want to put that into your head.
I was gonna say Gangstar, but there's gonna be someone even better than that. Dre and Snoop, you could say. Early stuff. Eminem and Dre. Kendrick Lamar and Dre. Jay-Z and Kanye.
Jay-Z, Kanye is a good team.
Kanye is a good. They got some good records.
Jay-Z and Just Blaze is a great team. Common and No ID is a great team. Common and Kanye is a great team. Obviously Gangstar.
Timberland and Magoo.
Timbaland and Magoo.
Love the beats though.
Yeah.
I haven't heard Eric B and Rakim yet, I don't think.
Yeah, that's like a little bit before our.
A little bit, but even going back to that, I don't think Eric B actually made it in the beats. It was kind of known that he was like the muscle, the kind of the man, but I don't think he made the beat. I think Rakim even made something.
I think Rakim made something, like maybe Marley Marl.
Yeah. Karis, One and Primo.
Karis, One and Primo.
Haven't done anything in a while, but
the Dre pairs. Yeah.
All right, another question. Which public figure would you die to read the autobiography of, or would you be really interested in reading their autobiography? Somebody you would just love to hear their life story.
That's currently alive.
Not necessarily alive.
Shaq?
Say Shaq.
He has an autobiography. I've read it before.
I was say Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson had one?
I couldn't tell you
He's
that.
done everything, man. Do you remember the Pro Stars?
Yeah, man. Have you seen his documentary?
Bo Jackson's? No.
It's the best.
Really? So there's got to be a book to it then.
It's the best because it's like, the ESPN 30 for 30s? Like usually they're about sports, but it's like a tie-in to like a personal story or like culture or something. Bo Jackson's is just about sports because he was just so good at sports. The whole thing is just about how amazing he was at sports. It's crazy.
So you're saying Shaq, you're saying Bo Jackson?
Sure. We'll go with Bo Jackson. I already read Michael Jackson's. I read Anthony from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I read Slash's. That's all I kind of read. I don't read a lot of books, but I like reading like autobiographies, people talking about their life and just stuff they've gone through.
Bringing it back to hip hop, if there was one element of the 5 elements of hip hop that you could add to your repertoire.
What's the 5th element?
Well, there's MCing,
Yeah.
DJing, breakdancing, beatboxing,
No. Graffiti. Is beatboxing the 5th one?
I suppose you could say beatboxing would be the 5th one.
Which one would I add?
Which one would you add to that?
Breakdancing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like which one could I do?
Which one would you like to add to the catalog?
Oh, add to
Like
the
add something
catalog.
else
like,
to it or
like
something
let's
you
say
wanna pick up on. Like
you don't have this skill, but you really wish that you could do it
Out of
also.
those 5.
Out of those
Breakdancing.
5, yeah.
Breakdancing, yeah, for sure, breakdancing.
Add to a little element to the live show.
Hell yeah. I seen Common play at the Cool House. And he broke out one moment, just started spinning, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely some breakdance.
Yeah.
If we might wrap things up then. Thank you very much, Classified Shad, for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Once again, you're watching The Come Up Show, where feel good music lives. We out.